Am I going to lose my tax return when I file bankruptcy? I think I get this question probably 10 times a week. The answer is maybe, and that's a lawyer maybe, so it's a definite maybe. And the reason why is this: when you go into bankruptcy, either Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, the tax return has to be considered as an asset of the estate, whether you've received it or whether you're going to be entitled to it in the future. Let's say you're going to get a $5,000 tax refund, and I use 5,000 as a very large example to show the imbalance. It all depends on when you file your case. Let's say you're coming into tax season right now. It's January. Everybody's getting their W-2s and their 1099s, getting ready to file before April 15th. You file at the end of January, and you know you're going to get $5,000 back. But you say, oh gosh, I want to keep my $5,000, but I want to file bankruptcy at the same time. I don't want to use my $5,000 to pay my creditors. Well, any reputable bankruptcy attorney is going to tell you you got a problem, because when you go into bankruptcy court, they're going to ask you at the time you filed, were you entitled to receive a tax refund? Because the tax refund is based upon taxes that were overwithheld in the past. It's not new money. It's not a windfall. Somebody's going to walk up and give you $5,000. It's something that you were entitled to receive on December 31st of 2012. That's when the year ended. So now this is going forward. You've already had the right to receive this money. It becomes part of your bankruptcy estate. In Chapter 13, it's a little bit different. In Chapter 13, there's some things we can do to show that you need this money going forward through the rest of, the rest of the year. So let's say, for example, in Chapter 13, your budget is a negative $200 a month. Well, you can take the tax refund and say, well, on the tax refund, if you break it down by 12 months, that's an extra $400 a month. So I can use that $400 a month on a monthly basis to show now that my positive income is $200 a month, and that's what I could afford to pay to my creditors. So there's a lot of things we can do to kind of counteract the tax return problem. But tax refunds are a big issue in the bankruptcy court, because a lot of people need that money to pay their property taxes, or they're relying on that money to help them put it down on a new car because the old one's about ready to die. Or somebody may need a new air conditioning system, or, that they need that money for. If you ask the bankruptcy court, hey, judge, I need this money, the judge would be probably more than willing to allow you to use that, as long as you have a legitimate need that you can document and that you're going to use that money for. Like, my roof is leaking and I need the $5,000 to fix my roof. The judge will want to see documentation on it, make sure that the money is being spent on it, the money actually is spent on it. And then the judge will say, okay, I understand this need for this money, but you're going to have to show the court all your financials. Again, let's say you're 2 years into your bankruptcy process and you have this need and you want to use that $5,000 to fix your roof. The judge's bankruptcy court is going to have to look at all your financials. So if your income has gotten a little better or your expenses have gotten a little less because you paid a car off, you may be subjecting yourself to a new budget and a new payment to the trustee to going forward. That's something you always got to be careful about in Chapter 13. It's a forward-looking action. We need to look at your case on an individual basis, on a yearly basis, and say, hey, what can this person afford to pay now, and are they paying enough? So it's something you got to be really careful about. But that's a long-winded response to a good question about tax returns. So take that as you will. There's a lot there.